There's other people that like to actually do things. So like they're out like,
Yeah.
they have this like jam-packed itinerary where like there's some people where their vacation is more exhausting than not having vacation
Oh yeah.
because it's so jam-packed.
It's a trip versus a vacation. So sometimes you need a vacation from your trip.
Hi everyone, welcome to the Your Life Unfiltered podcast with your hosts Kitu Pathari and Deepam Jain. In this podcast, we dig deep into the life experiences of our guests to connect the dots between their early upbringing and what they're doing today. Today we have special guest Tanya Chellani. Before we start, if you guys are not already following Your Life Unfiltered on Instagram and on YouTube, please be sure to give us a follow and subscribe. With that said, Tanya, can you please introduce yourself?
Yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Tanya. I grew up in the LAOC area, and I currently work for a medical device company, and I travel part-time.
Awesome. Great to have you, Tanya. So before we talk about your travel journey, your professional life, let us go back a few years, right? Tap into your early childhood, early upbringing. Tell us a little bit more about, how was your experience growing up in the US? Were you always traveling as a child with your parents, or was it something, more to that? And anything that really jumps out, that really stuck with you that you can recollect at this point?
Sure. So I grew up in an Indian household and moved here when I was 3. So I was actually born in Oman. But I grew up in the LAOC area, and I would say growing up, I didn't do a lot of travel. My parents do like exploring, seeing new places, but I don't think travel was a big part of my childhood. But I think growing up here, it was really nice to have that balance between my Indian culture and American culture. And I think it's just so fortunate that we live in a place where both are embraced and we can really combine the two. And so, growing up, I think I just had a very open mindset, and my parents always encouraged me to think in a way, that's diverse, have that open mind. I think that's what kind of encouraged me to learn more about other people, always try to experience new things and so forth.
Okay, amazing. So you came at a relatively young age at 3 years old, right?
Mm-hmm.
Would you say you adjusted really well to living in the Orange County area, or was it more of an adjustment?
No, I don't think there was any sort of adjustment because I was so young. I don't remember anything before then. And all my life is kind of based here. So, yeah.
Great. Well, what about culturally, right? Because a lot of times when you grow up in a new country and like you're coming from an immigrant household, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like there would be cultural differences between culture at home versus culture at school, culture at work, all those type of things, right? So did you see like a mismatch in culture in that sense, or were you well adjusted, and did you lean more towards one side or the other side?
Yeah, I wouldn't say I lean towards one side or the other, but I think where I grew up, and even where I am now, it's so diverse. I grew up sort of in an more Asian community, and so I was lucky to have people around me that were from the same backgrounds, and so, I was able to kind of share my experiences, things that I would go to and experience over the weekends, and so I think I'm really lucky in that sense that I was able to kind of embrace that and share it with other people and have interest from others as well.
Okay, amazing. Yeah. And could you tell me a little bit more about what inspired you to go into like travel content? So
Sure.
for those of you guys that don't know, Tanya Chellani is actually a travel blogger. So she is really big on content about the West Coast, about Europe, around, other places that she's visited either on vacation or other types of travel. But, in your own words, what do you think sparked your interest in travel to begin with?
Yeah. So I would say my journey actually began in March 2020. So this was all right before the pandemic. And it started off with kind of just my love for photography and exploring. So in high school, I took a couple of art classes in photography and film and just got more comfortable with using a camera. And I would say it really started with my love for exploring locally. And so I would always, over the weekends, just try to find new places in LA, kind of share, the hidden gems, and really just inspire other people to go out there and explore their own neighborhood. And slowly I started, going more places. I started posting my adventures. That really kind of pushed me to even explore the outdoor adventure space. I'm really a big outdoor enthusiast nowadays. And I kind of found a way to merge all of those passions of mine. So exploring photography and just being active outdoors.
Got it. Got it. So basically, did you start because of the pandemic, and then because of that allowed you time to kind of just take out time during the weekends and just explore your surroundings, or was it just happened to be during that time period?
Yeah, I think it just happened to be that way because that was when I
Right.
graduated, and I had more time because I was just working full time. And so on the weekends, I had all the time to go out and explore. So I think it just
Got it.
ended up being like that. Also, with the pandemic, I think I had to be more specific of what I was filling my time with. And so I think that's actually a time where I got a lot into hiking my
Okay.
first
Right.
year
Right.
because, it's a safe way to kind of fill your time. And so that's where it started. But I wouldn't say that I planned it around there. It just sort of happened.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Got it. That makes sense. And you're in the perfect spot for photography, for hiking, everything, right? LA, that's it's a lot to offer.
Absolutely. It has all sorts of landscapes. So
Yeah. What's been your most surprising find in the LA area? What would you say?
in the LA area, I would say so in North LA, there's this place called Vasquez Rocks, and it just looks like you're in some otherworldly desert. So I thought that was really great. I would also say one thing that people don't know about like Beverly Hills area is there's actually so many green spaces over there. So one of my
Right.
favorite hiking spots there is yeah, it's just so fun, and not a lot of people know about it.
Awesome. Wow. Awesome.
So
Great.
how do you find these hidden gems though?
Yeah.
Do you like find out through other people that are exploring the area? Do you find out through like doing your own independent research? Do you just run across, somehow find your way into these hidden gem areas? Like how do you find out about these hidden gems to begin with?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it's a mix of various sources. So I follow a lot of people who are also interested in LA travel or just travel in general. So a lot of what I end up filling my time with, I hear from them, just suggestions from friends or other travel content creators. And then I also do a lot of research myself. So it's as easy as just going on Google and, just typing a few words about what you're interested in. And I would say the third way is just connecting with a lot of the communities that are online that have a lot of great tips as well. So there's so many
Okay.
sources out there. I think it's really a mix of all of them.
Got it.
Yeah.
Would you like to share some of your more recent hidden gems that you've been to? And there is one that comes to mind. I was looking at your feed a couple of months ago. There was like a best, what's it called, a Blockbuster pop-up bar.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so LA is big for pop-ups. One ends and another one starts. So that one was really cool because I think it was a blast to the past with the nostalgia there. I would say recently, I'd have to think because I haven't done a lot of LA stuff recently. I need to get back into that. But I would say in California, if I could just go broader, I would say Death Valley National Park
Okay.
was really something that I was shocked by how amazing that was. I don't think I realized like how much there was to do there. When you think of Death Valley, you just think, oh, it's a hot place. But I would love to go back there. I think it was really diverse in like the landscapes and really photography heaven. So
Got it.
Amazing.
yeah.
I'm pretty close to that. So I'm just curious, what did you like about Death Valley so much? Just out
Yeah.
of curiosity.
I think just the rock formations were really cool. So one of
I
the
see.
spots there is this mountain filled with colors, and it's all natural. Nothing's like man-made there. And then just there was another spot, and you don't really need to hike much. You just kind of walk a few steps from the parking lot, and it's this entire like canyon kind of thing. So that was also really nice. And then they also have some of the tallest sand dunes in California. So
Oh,
you don't
wow.
go to, the Middle East. It's right
Oh,
here.
man. I see. I did not know that. Yeah, I've heard about the rock formations and
Mhm.
and everything else. Obviously, the temperature going really, really high up during the summers.
Yeah, make
But
sure you don't go in the summer now.
yeah, that makes sense.
otherwise you'd be baked to a crisp by the time you get out of there.
I know, yeah.
No, I think every year there's like a few people like that you hear in the news that didn't make it out of Death Valley because of one reason or the other. So it's definitely not for the faint-hearted there. So
Yeah,
for
because sometimes
anybody,
you
for
think
them.
you're fine. You think you're fine going forward, and then you realize too late. You're like halfway
Yeah.
through, and there's no way out. So yeah, definitely need to.
Yeah, and there's nobody there to help you or anything. So
Yeah.
that makes sense.
So I think Deepam's going to appreciate this question, but do you have any recommendations of spots in the San Francisco area?
Uh, Yeah, I'd have to think about that one.
It's fine. We can circle back on this. Don't worry. I think we're gonna have a separate conversation about this.
Yeah.
So, actually, since you mentioned about research, I actually noticed that you also are contributing, right? Locale magazine. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but
Yeah, locale.
oh yeah, it's a wordplay. Now I now I recognize that. Okay, so tell us more about that. Like, what is it? What is the magazine cover? Like, what do you do? What do you write about? And how often do you do that?
Yeah, so I'm actually a contributor for their social media. So I specifically do restaurant visits. So any kind of new up and coming restaurants in the SoCal area, I go to and just capture some social footage for them. Not only restaurants, so it's kind of events that are going on, but I primarily would be food based. Yeah, and so that's something that I'm also really interested in is food. So I try to find a way to incorporate that in my showcase. Even though you won't find photos of food, if you kind of look into my reels, there will be some
I was
spots.
gonna ask that. Like, are you into food as well? Because it sounds like that you are.
That's very interesting because what I'm really curious about is, do the restaurant owners and like the staff there treat you differently because they know you're there for social footage?
I would say yes. I'm not gonna lie, yes. But it's really just so that they can ensure that you have everything you need, and you have all the, everything you need to create the content. So it's not like
and they also serve you their best dishes as well, right? Because
actually. So yeah. And I'm vegetarian, but there's so many veggie options.
Oh, okay. That's really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because there was a reel that I saw probably a week or two ago, right? And the whole idea was a guy basically went to one of these fancy restaurants and came with a notebook. And after taking every bite, he started pretending to write in the notebook because he wanted other people to think that he was like a food critic or something. So like that way he got incredible service.
That's crazy.
So that's just what that story reminded me of. It's like I can imagine like you going into some like up and coming restaurant that just opened up with like a notebook and just like elevated experience because of that.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I used to have a friend back in college who was a food blogger. So, I mean, everybody wanted to be friends with her like really, really well because you get free food like whenever you go out on a restaurant or something.
It's better than free food, right?
I know, right? Wow. Okay. Anything that you've tried out recently that you would recommend? I am planning to visit Southern California. I'm sure Ketul as well recently.
So I personally love vegan tacos. I think
nice
a spot for that. There's so many spots I would recommend for that. I would say like Seabird's Kitchen is one. There's another spot called Soul, and they have a sister restaurant called Solita.
Wow.
There's a whole list. I have a whole list.
Okay.
Probably gonna make a guide on my Instagram of best vegan tacos.
I'm gonna look forward to that. I'm actually headed in that area next month. So
perfect.
So I am gonna definitely look through that list and go to as many of those as I can.
Awesome.
So let's switch gears a little bit. Let's talk work, right? You said you work at a medical device company. Mm-hmm. Is that tied to your education, or you somehow found your way into the industry? Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So I actually got my major in psychology and I minored in HR. And so I was trying to find a way to combine the two. And IO psychology is actually a very specialized niche, which combines psychology and human resources. So it's really just understanding how people work and what you can implement to make your work life better and, just improve processes at work. And so I got into that. And I would say most of my career, I've been in the people analytics space, and that's where I currently am too. So I'm a workforce insights analyst. And so I kind of work as a liaison between the rest of the business and HR just to provide best insights on what we're seeing and just, allowing people to make better decisions at work based on those metrics.
Oh, okay. That's pretty cool.
It's very broad. We also work a lot with employee engagement surveys, just surveys in general. And it's really collaborative. So
that's really cool. And do you think that background in psychology helps with the content creation? Because you can kind of see what would work and what would work based on tapping into the subconscious mind or some psychological components?
I wish I could say yes, 100% does, but but I think it's nice because I really like to make sure that I'm putting content out there that is valuable for other people. It has a purpose. And so just, I like to understand what people themselves are interested in, just by asking them questions or kind of seeing what they're posting. And so I think that ties in a little bit. Yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
And what platforms are you on? Like, I know about Instagram, but are you on any other platforms?
Yeah, I'm actually, majority of my time is Instagram. I'm on TikTok. I'm not as active as I hope to be there. But one of my goals is to actually create a blog because I don't have a blog yet. So my primary source of content is Instagram right now.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
What sort of a blog are we talking, Tanya? If you don't mind me asking.
It's a travel blog.
I see.
Because right now I think it's hard to kind of, you have to scroll all the way back to find, a specific spot you're interested in. I think with the blog, it's nice because you can clearly lay out, break up things into categories and base it that way. So that's one of my goals.
Got it. And, I have to ask, so since you work full-time job, right, how do you manage or how do you balance the travel with the full-time job? And especially with the remote work, I know it's been easier, but let's say if you are in a different time zone altogether, let's say if you're in Europe and with California, it's like 9-hour time difference. So how do you manage those, or how do you balance between the two things?
Yeah, so I actually haven't really worked too much outside of, where I am now. But I would say I really prioritize travel. So I don't take time off unless it's to travel. I take advantage of the long weekends and just taking advantage of everything in California. So, it's not really feasible to go on these long international trips.
Right.
So I try to do the most I can close to home, or just finding spots that might be just a few hours away by flight when I can. And then for longer trips, I tend to just, maximize that weekend time and add on vacation and really make the most of it that way. So just really prioritizing travel.
That's great. And do you have any, obviously traveling costs a lot of money, as everybody knows. What are some of your tips to save up on, do you have any, let's say, websites where you can get discounts or any other tips regarding credit card points and things like that?
Yeah.
To really save up on expenditure while traveling?
Sure. Yeah. So definitely have some sort of travel credit card. I have the Chase Sapphire Preferred. And I've been able to really just rack up points from travel and dining. So when you're traveling, you tend to eat out a lot more if you're not cooking in, so that really helps. I would say whenever you can travel with a group, that's a great way to save. It's not always possible. And, I also sometimes prefer to go with maybe just one or two other people, but whenever you can, that's a great way to save money. And then just utilize a lot of public transport wherever you can. So utilizing the train and the bus, it's so easy to actually just do that and save money whenever possible.
Got it.
Yeah, it's great tips. Great tips.
So what was your last big travel location? Where was it and how was your experience?
Yeah. So I actually just recently got back from a Caribbean cruise. This was in December. And that was my first cruise ever. It was with Celebrity Cruise. It was a 10-day cruise to the Caribbean. And it was amazing. I mean, not only the places I went to, I think just the cruise itself was so incredible.
Nice.
Yeah. It's one of the newer ships too. So it felt kind of like our own private boat almost, because it was not even at 50% capacity. I think we got really lucky. So,
that is surprising. I guess people are still not as comfortable getting back to the cruises.
Yeah, slowly I think it's getting back there. I felt very comfortable personally. But for me growing up, I never really thought that I, would go on a cruise this soon. I think it was something that I was like, okay, I'll do it maybe one day. I didn't really see the hype behind it. But after going on one, I realized it's a great way to kind of get a little peak of every place. And then you can kind of understand what you like, what you didn't. And so in the future, you can go back to the ones that you liked and go back to those places. And then also it's kind of traveling hotel. You don't have to worry about packing your bags, going from one hotel to another. You just wake up in a new destination. Which
That is perfect. Yeah. Where all did you go, by the way?
So I went to St. Kitts, Barbados, Antigua, St. Lucia, and there's one more. Barbados? Did I say Barbados?
Yes.
Give me a second. So I went to Barbados, St. Kitts, St. Lucia, Antigua?
Yes.
And damn, why am I blanking out on this last one?
It's all good.
It's all good. Don't worry about it. Okay, cool.
So would you say, like, what kind of vacation do you like better? And the reason I ask is people have different preferences. Sometimes people like to go on vacation where you're like seeing things, like sightseeing activities. And there's other people that like vacations that you do absolutely nothing. They're just like sipping by, like basically sitting by the pool and like sipping a margarita or something like that.
Yeah. I like planning. I have a full itinerary. I don't put like times on there, but I know what I want to do in the morning, and I try to get all my content done in the morning so that I can kind of relax during the rest of the day. So I would say I'm a mix of both. I definitely like going out sightseeing, taking photos of really pretty places, but then at the same time, I think that it's important to kind of take it slow and relax when you're on vacation. So I'm right in the middle.
You're right in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know a couple people that their idea of vacation is doing absolutely nothing. They just want to go to a beautiful place and just sit around, lounge around, play in the pool for a little bit, drink margaritas and martinis or whatever their drink of choice is, and just that's their vacation. And then there's other people that like to actually do things. So like they're out like, they have this like jam-packed itinerary where like there's some people where their vacation is more exhausting than not having vacation. It's so jam-packed.
It's a trip versus a vacation. So sometimes you need a vacation from your trip. I lean towards that side, the jam-packed. But it's...
Ketul, I'm just curious. What is your preference? What do you do? What do you like to do?
Mine depends on the vacation. I'll have vacation that'll be jam-packed, and then I'll have vacation where I'm doing absolutely nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Literally nothing. I'll just be sitting around and just enjoying.
It depends where you go to. Like if you go somewhere like Europe, you're really just on your feet all day, walking all day, and it's tiring. But if you're in some beach island, you can just do absolutely nothing.
Exactly, and like an all-inclusive resort.
Yeah, exactly.
That's exactly what I'm thinking. So like I like going to all-inclusive resorts where you just go there and you do nothing. You just feel so relaxed and like feel so stress-free. That is amazing. So I think the blend of both. It's like there could be one trip where it's completely jam-packed, and there'll be another trip is like I don't want to do anything this time.
I like the idea of slow travel. So it's you're doing all these things, but you're not rushing it. So you're making sure that you really have time to embrace the culture and just like slowly, fulfilling your itinerary. So.
That makes sense.
What about you? I think I have the answer, but I want to hear from you.
No, I'm the same way as well. I'm like a mix of both. It really depends on the destination. Where am I going? So, right, if it's like a more beach type location, then obviously you tend to relax more. But if it's more like Europe or like big cities and there's a lot to see, then definitely like I'm all on my feet like through the entire day. So then the vacation becomes like a trip in that sense. That's a good distinction, like a vacation and a trip.
Yes.
I'm going to use that going forward.
All right, I want to stir the pot a little bit. So we're going to start a different discussion now. East Coast versus West Coast.
Well, you know the answer, Ketul. West Coast. West Coast. That's my answer. I don't know about Tanya's.
I'm going to say West Coast. There's I don't think you can really compare the two because the vibes are so different. I personally love East Coast as well. I love New York. I've been there a few times, but I just don't think you can compare the two. So it's what you're, where you grew up. Of course, you're going to like that better.
A lot more attachment to
actually. I know some people were like, I grew up here, but I don't like it as much as the other coast. But I would say West Coast.
Well, West Coast is a little vague. SoCal or NorCal?
SoCal, of course.
Okay. I was trying to stir the pot a little bit more.
Well. I mean, yeah, you can argue other way. I'm just kidding.
We'll play a quick game. So Deepam's in NorCal, and Tanya, you're in SoCal. So like, Tanya, you gotta sell SoCal to Deepam, and Deepam, you gotta sell NorCal to Tanya. Let's see how that goes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who wants to go first?
Why don't you go, Tanya? I want to see what on your cards.
So I would say SoCal, we have everything. We have beaches, and not just any beach, it's warm. So the water is not going to be freezing. We have the mountains, we have the desert, we have the lakes, the waterfall hikes. We have everything.
Actually, that's we have all of that in Northern California as well.
Mm-hmm.
But also we have a lot of water sports. I don't know if they have a lot of water sports in Southern California, but yes. So like kite surfing. We have a lot of kite surfing here. There's a lot of sailing happening in the bay. Let's see, hikes. I think that's a common as well.
Mm-hmm.
We can ski up
Mhm.
until like May in Northern California. I don't know about Southern California.
Mhm.
So it sounds to me there's a lot more to do in Northern California.
Well, I think you can do all those things here too, though.
Oh, you can? Okay, then never mind.
There's
It's all
snow.
good.
Like, you can see the snow from the desert in Palm Springs
Ooh.
if you just go up the aerial
Yeah.
tramway. Yeah.
All right, now I'm gonna sell both of you guys. Ready? For SoCal, come on, man. They got Hollywood. Can't beat Hollywood. Speaking of that, you have much better nightlife in SoCal.
Oh,
Mexican food's throughout, so not so much Mexican food, but way better nightlife in SoCal. You have Hollywood. Can't beat that. You have a lot of content creators in SoCal versus NorCal. And for NorCal has more industry with technology. You have all the big tech companies based out of there. You have a combination of, so when it comes to SoCal has a lot of beauty, so does NorCal. But San Francisco is the only major city that I know of on the West Coast that is a proper city that is still connected to nature. So you can live the city life with hybrid nature life. So that's a big selling point in NorCal.
You mean there's a lot of parks here? Yeah, that's true.
Well, in a major city though. San
Yeah,
Francisco,
in a major city. Yeah.
it's like LA. LA is like nice, but it's not the same as like San Francisco in terms of the connection of having a proper city life combined with a lot of nature in one city.
Plus, the traffic is not as bad.
No,
No, I know. Yeah, I don't want to get into
When to
fight.
leave your house here. Otherwise,
What was that?
you really have to know when to leave your house here. I think
That's
early
true, yeah.
mornings are great. Later in the evenings are great.
Yeah.
Sundays are good.
I'm actually like, yeah, I know it was a fun question, but I think every place has its own pros and cons, right? So even LA, for example, I've been to LA a few times, so it's just a different vibe, even though it's still California. It's just a totally different vibe than SF or the Bay Area,
Exactly.
in a good way, So.
I agree.
All right. So actually, I wanted to go back to something we discussed about before. So you also been to Europe recently, right? I actually noticed some of your recent pictures on your profile from Bruges and from Denmark, other places. So what are some of the biggest similarities and differences that you observed between the American culture or the American way of things versus Europe? Just, depends on where you were.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say, of course, the beauty of just these places and the fact that, people are so just interested in learning more about art and culture. One big thing that I always, like to see is like beautiful architecture. And I think all these places have that in common, is just amazing architecture, different ways of seeing things. So yeah, I would say that's one of the bigger ones. In terms of culture, what else is there?
What about food?
Food, yes, that's what I was thinking. Is the focus on food? Food-wise, I would actually like to give a shout out to Sweden for their food. I think out of all the places I've been to in Europe specifically, I would say Sweden had the best food because I tried almost every cuisine possible there, and it was very comparable, or if not better, to what I've had here. So. Not only that, it's just their focus on healthy food, local agriculture, things like that. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Got it. And you mentioned you're a vegetarian, right? So were you able to find enough vegetarian options? It sounds like yes.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, there was no problem at all. If anything, there were too many options.
Especially there's a lot of vegan restaurants or vegan menus that are starting to spring up, right? Everywhere.
Yeah, everywhere. Everywhere you go now, you'll find the vegan cafes, which is amazing.
Got it.
Fantastic. Alrighty. So let's go to the next segment. So let's go into rapid fire.
Oh, yay.
Okay. All right. So rapid fire, as the name suggests, first thing that comes to mind whenever you're ready, we'll just jump right in. Okay. So first one, tea or coffee?
Tea.
Ooh,
okay.
tea.
All right. Okay, next one is a little bit interesting. I'm curious to see what do you respond. Mountains or beaches?
Mountains.
Wow. Okay.
I was expecting beaches on that one because
yeah, I was thinking of beaches as well. All right. Morning person or night owl?
I would say I'm an afternoon person.
That is the first time we've ever heard that answer. It's the first
What does
time.
that mean? What does that mean, Tanya?
So in the morning, I really cannot think. It takes me like so long to just like awaken myself. And then at nighttime, I think, I don't know, I can't stay up too late. Like I go to bed like around 10 nowadays. So I feel like I need to just hit the bed around that. So afternoon, I'm like focused, I can really, be creative, do whatever. But in the morning and the nighttime, I'm just can't do much.
Okay.
That is very interesting. Okay.
Yeah, good answer because we've never heard that before. So shout out to you for the creative answer.
I guess we should add another option to our question. All right. So what's your favorite comfort food?
That's a good one. I really like soups. Soup, any kind of soup really. I like hot and sour soup, tom yum soup, and then just like broccoli cheddar soup. I find them very
nice.
Yeah.
Wow. What's your favorite virtue in others?
I think my favorite virtue in others is compassion. Just treat others the way you want to be treated.
Great.
All right. That makes sense. What's your biggest pet peeve?
People who walk like really slow.
That makes sense.
You enjoy the East Coast because everyone on the East Coast is like.
I love that. I love that about people know where they want to go. They have a purpose. So slow.
Okay. You don't want to be in a crowded places where people are walking really slow.
No.
That makes sense.
I like crowded places in general.
That makes sense. Okay. What's your secret superpower?
I think I'm very patient. I don't know if that's a superpower, but I think for me, having patience has really helped in life. So I try to encourage that. Yeah.
Wow. No, that's actually a pretty good superpower. I wish I had. I'm the same. Yeah, that is true. All right. What's a superpower you wish you had?
I wish I could
It
teleport.
could be unrealistic.
I wish I could teleport.
I like that one.
Yep.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have expected anything else from you.
What we found is teleportation is like a really popular one for people.
Yeah, it's a common one.
Yeah.
Ketul, what's yours?
I don't remember. I had an answer. I had a great answer. I don't remember.
You did.
It was I had a couple. One was about language. It's like I could understand any language. So I can know if like someone's saying something that I don't like. They think I'm not.
Oh, yeah. I think yours was reading other people's mind or something. That's what
it was along the same lines of that.
Right. Mine would be just just background music, depending on the context situation that I'm in. That'd be really cool.
Yeah.
It was like the music changes based off of the environment you're in.
Exactly. Yeah. That'd be crazy.
So here's a question: what song will be playing right now?
Okay, that's a good question. What song? I don't think there would be a song right now because that would distract from the situation. I'd probably like more like somber music, just in the background. I guess that would be.
I'm having like a visual in my head now. It's like you're on vacation and like you hear the song in your head. If you like pina coladas or something. then you go like work and like you hear the song like work. How does it go again? I forgot. Like the song was like work. That one.
The Rihanna. Yeah.
I
think
raining,
for
like,
me, yeah. No, actually, I was being more dramatic in that sense because I'm a huge Bollywood buff. So that Bollywood takes a lot of like different types of background musics, depending on the situation. So let's say if I'm on a flight, then there is a song like Safarnama will play. It's just like an upbeat audio, which I don't know. I know. Yep, 100%. So, Tanya, what's been your biggest accomplishment in the last 1 or 2 years?
So I think in the last 1 or 2 years, I think just comparing myself to where I was, further back, I think just seeing like the growth in my photography and just being able to make connections with people online and in person. That's something I really value. I think this year I'm really hoping to even make more connections with people who have, similar interests or just to say hi. I think a lot of our time is spent online, on our screen. So I'm really trying to make the most out of, just interactions in person, meeting people. I think that's, really so great. So yeah, I would just say the growth I've seen in my own work.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. And I don't know if you've been on a podcast before, but maybe you can add that to our list.
No, that's my biggest accomplishment of recent. So this is my first one.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. I guess that brings us to the end of our discussion. So actually, before we wrap, do you have any recommendations for our listeners? So a recommendation could be a piece of media, a book, or a movie, TV series, anything, or it could be general advice.
Yeah, I like to share a quote that I really like is, you don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. So I think that can be used in any area of life that, you're maybe hesitant about or just have apprehension. So really just go for it. Don't compare yourself with other people, just go for it and you'll really see the growth over time.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's a really beautiful quote. Like, would you say you've lived by that quote with like your content creation?
I think so, especially when it comes to photography. A lot of areas of photography that, I was new to, for example, astrophotography. I had the chance to do that. And I was really surprised with what I was able to create without really any experience at all. So yeah, definitely. I think in various phases of life, I've been able to use that.
Right. I guess I should ask one more question. What's next for you?
Yeah. So like I mentioned earlier, I would like to start a travel blog. And I hope to continue to just inspire other people to get out of their comfort zone and really make the most of where they are and what they have access to in life. So, yeah.
Do you have a tentative name in mind for the travel blog?
I don't. I really don't. So right now it's, my handle is Chellani, which is basically like a play on my last name. So instead of the E, it's the I for chill. So I don't know if I would keep that or I would change it, but yeah.
Okay. You can do a play on your name. You can say Chell with Tanya.
Chill with Tanya.
Yeah, but I'm saying Chell, like your last name.
Chell with Tanya. That's a good one. I haven't thought of that. Yeah.
Something I would like. I feel like your name with the Chell part. There's so many puns you can build off of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know it was a quick one off the top of my head, but I'm sure there's better ones.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Cool. Well, yeah. I hope you enjoyed the podcast episode. It's I hear it's your first, so can you tell what do you think about the experience?
This was so much fun. Really, thank you for reaching out, and I was so happy to be a part of this. And meeting both of you was great as well. So,
okay,
congratulations.
Right. Thank you. All right, so I'm just gonna say it one more time for everyone. If you guys are not already connected with Your Life Unfiltered on Instagram or on YouTube, please be sure to give us a follow and subscribe. Tanya, it was absolutely wonderful to have this conversation with you. Are there any other platform stuff you'd like to plug for our listeners here?
Yeah, so I would say my Instagram is Chellani, so that's CHILLANI _. I would love to meet you all and say hi. So, thank you. This was an absolute pleasure meeting both of you. So thanks for having me.
Thank you, everyone, and have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.